in Logan, Utah tonight. The Pac-12 against the Mountain West at the Smith Spectrum at Utah State. The Oregon Ducks, the 5 seed, the 4 seed, Utah State Aggies meeting here tonight. The winner of our matchup will advance round 2 and take on the winner of Texas A&M and Alcorn State. But a good one tonight here in Logan, Utah, along with former Arizona Wildcat Corey Williams. Roxy Bernstein with you. Look, both teams had visions of going to the big dance. They're not in the NCAA, but they want their season to keep going. They're playing postseason basketball.
That's what it's all about, postseason basketball. Anybody who's ever played, this is what you want. You want to be having a chance to go as deep as you can in the tournament. This is that second part of the season where you got to turn it up a level.
The big news for Oregon, they're -2 starters in this one tonight. The Ducks have been playing without Will Richardson, now in Fale Dante also out for Oregon. Both are missing this game with non-COVID illnesses, and that's what Oregon will be needing to get again. Jacob Young had a magnificent Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas.
Simply one of the best guards in the Pac-12. There you see the numbers, gets buckets, his leadership on the floor, high energy guy, also throws a lot of dimes. He's the guy that makes it happen for the Ducks.
And on the other side for Utah State, one of the top forwards on the West Coast, a walking double-double, Justin Bean, who leads the Mountain West in rebounding this season.
This young man is blue-collar as they come. You talk about hitting the glass, knocking down shots, fearless leader. He's got the size and the ability to finish, and there you see all the accolades. No question about it. The go-to guy for the Aggies, and the Ducks are going to try to slow him down.
Good crowd, great environment here in Logan for this one tonight. So Quincy Guerrier and the Ducks -2 starters tonight. And Fale Dante joining Will Richardson on the illness list. Again, not a COVID issue, it's just an illness, which of course is still going around despite COVID still being here. And the opening tip out of bounds, it'll be a Utah State basketball, and a lot falls on the plane of Frank Kepnong, making a start in the middle for Dana Altman tonight.
Right off the bat, the Oregon Ducks just coming out in the standard 2-3 zone. Looks like they're going to try to match up.
Utah transfer Rylan Jones, running the show for Ryan Odom and Utah State. Rivaldo Soares making his first start of the year. As inside, that'll be a goal tip, give the basket to Brandon Horvath of Utah State.
Horvath going to be so key tonight for the Aggies. He has to have a presence inside against Oregon. Oregon with great shot blockers and great athletes.
Oregon, who lost in the Pac-12 tournament quarterfinals to Colorado last Thursday, is Rivaldo Soares making his first start of the season with the bucket, and he ties the game for the Ducks.
Fox, you and I talked to Coach Dana Altman before the game. One of those guys is going to be thrown into the mix, and it's going to have to be productive with Dante out.
Justin Bean launching a three, and it's well short. And look, for Dana Altman, players like Rivaldo Soares are looking at this as an opportunity tonight. Without Richardson, without Dante, they can show Dana Altman that they can be a key part of this team, not only moving forward as long as their run in the NIT continues, but also for next season.
No question, it's an audition. Dana Altman knows what he has, but this is an opportunity for guys to step up when they're needed. And you're right, make an impression that could draw well into next season.
Frank Kepnong in the lane.
Right now you see the recipe early for the Ducks. Get the ball to the rack, get it inside. They feel like they have a size advantage in the paint.
For Utah State, heartbreaking loss for them in the Mountain West quarters. Essentially at the buzzer, losing to Colorado State by 2, 53-51. Frank Kepnong spikes that one out of bounds. Brandon Horvath wants a goaltend. Won't get the call. Mike Cyphers, Ryan Holmes, Klaus, and Drissett are officials tonight.
Roxy, even if this was a goaltend, you still want your big man to go ahead and set that psychological intimidation. That's a beautiful block, and now Horvath will be looking for him every time he touches it in the paint.
Well, I know you and I have talked about it before as rattles out Kepnong the rebound. We saw the emphatic spike from Kepnong, who was playing tennis and doing karate before basketball. That was a karate chop that he threw at that one shot that he sent it out of bounds. Here is Kepnong spinning on the block, And Frank Kepnong, a target early for Oregon, and it's 6-2 Ducks as the sophomore from Cameroon.
Well, you're seeing a pattern develop. That's 3 jump hooks in a row. We knew Oregon was going to come in and try to play a dominant style of basketball in the paint, and they're off to a good start.
The lanky Horvath inside, and the rebound Frank Kepnong for Oregon. And a block is called on Ryland Jones. No. And it's an offensive foul. A push on Jacob Young of Oregon. That's a turnover on the Ducks.
And Young is confused. He thought for sure the defender was still moving. Right here, he gets both hands out, gets vertical. Could have been a no call, but player control.
Ryland Jones, who has experience going against Oregon. That's 2 quick fouls on Jacob Young, not even 2.5 minutes into the game. And that's a problem for Dana Altman.
That is a huge problem for Dana Altman and the Ducks. Your lead go-to guy laced with his second foul, only 2 minutes into the game. Now you got to look for that leadership and scoring. But the good news is the Ducks have a bunch of guys who can get buckets.
Eric Williams checks in. He started the last 2 games for Oregon at the Pac-12 tournament, coming off the bench tonight.
And that young man can shoot the ball. He's a great athlete around the rim.
And a travel on Ryland Jones, who couldn't keep his pivot foot down.
Oregon basketball.
Again, Oregon missing Will Richardson, their senior leader, who's 8th in the Pac-12 in scoring, 7th in assists, and their big man in Fale Dante.
Looking at both of those players, what they bring to the floor in terms of assists and rebounds.
Davion Harmon, the Oklahoma transfer, gets the roll. 8-2 Ducks.
Number 5, Davion Harmon.
Good start on the road for Oregon. And this crowd waiting for Utah State to get going. You can sense they want something to get excited about because they've been pumped up about this all day here in the Utah State community.
Well, I like the strategy right now by Dana Altman in Oregon. Come out in the zone in an attempt to preserve your guys. You know you're not that deep. You're missing 2 key guys. So keep everybody out of foul trouble, play the zone. But on the offensive end, the Ducks yet to take a jump shot, taking everything to the rim.
Plus, they're dealing with altitude playing here as the runner falls for Rivaldo Swords. 10 straight for Oregon, forcing Ryan Odom to call timeout. And after Utah State got the first points of the night, it's been all Ducks since.
Right now, the Ducks feasting in the lane. 5 for 5 from the floor. They're up early.
Utah State students trying to get fired up and get behind their team. A rough start for Utah State. They scored the first point of the night, but then Ryan Odom now forced to call a timeout as Oregon has made all 5 of their shots from the floor, has scored 10 straight points. And Ryan Odom's team now down 10-2. Of course, his name came to national prominence back in 2018 when he was the head coach at UMBC when they became the first 16 seed to knock off a 1. When they knocked off Virginia, they blew out Virginia that NCAA tournament game.
No question about it. Name etched in the history books. Did a great job coaching. Anytime you take that team, and they were overwhelmed at almost every position and just manhandled Virginia. I remember watching that game, and certainly one of the top young coaches in the country.
Even Ashworth hits a 3 for Utah State.
And that's what the Aggies need. They need to find some solutions against that zone. They were 0 for 3 up until that point. Got one to go down.
That's what hurt them against Colorado State in the quarters of the Mountain West. Against the Rams, they went 1 for 15 from 3. Here comes Ashworth. Pull-up transition 3. Rattles in. 2 threes back-to-back for Stephen Ashworth.
Rocks, you know the rule. You get it, you can go with it. Ashworth with the steal. That means it's his rock to shoot. Beautiful play in transition and a heads-up defensive play to get it all started.
He made 7 threes in a game earlier this year against Weber State. Davion Harmon in the first miss for the Oregon Ducks. And the crowd all of a sudden now is energized on the back-to-back threes from Stephen Ashworth. Still plenty of time on the shot clock for R.J. Idlerock, native of London, England. Justin Bean has it stripped. Got it back. Deep 2. And the rebound tip free in Utah State, a fresh 20. John Bairstow on the floater. Rattles out, but a foul, and Utah State will get to the line.
Roch, you talk about great defense and anticipation. Right here, Ashworth sees his teammate about to get posted up. He sneaks over, makes the steal, and nobody picks him up. He's too good at home to leave wide open, and he drills the three. But that's great anticipation. Oregon scoring in the paint, defense reacting.
First foul on Quincy Guerrier. John Bairstow, a 68% foul shooter, the junior from Brisbane, Australia. His older brother Cam, an All-Mountain West player at New Mexico, and entering for the first time tonight. Here is Max Shulga, the sophomore from Kyiv, Ukraine. And we'll tell you about his amazing story as the night goes on. But Max Shulga, what a delightful young guy that we talked to earlier today. Very
impressed with that young man, obviously. In a very difficult situation, but it's just really great talking with him.
Rivaldo Soares missing a three, and the rebound. Here come the Aggies. Sean Bairstow in transition. Max Shulga drives, flips it up, and we're tied.
Beautiful move. Switches to the left hand to finish in traffic. Rox, you hear this crowd getting into the game after being quiet for so long.
Quincy Guerrier off on a three. Utah State ball as the Aggies on an 8-0 run.
Right here, great ball movement. And once you get the defender on the blow-by, you've got to finish. Great finesse.
Open in the corner. 3 threes for Stephen Ashworth. 11 in a row for Utah State.
KYP, know your personnel. You cannot lose Ashworth in the mix. He will burn you. And this crowd on their feet, and an offensive foul against the Ducks.
Now it's all Utah State after the Ducks run a 10-0 run.
Right here, we talked about working against the zone. You run a man to the corner, and that's a three ball all day. The Aggies feeling it after a slow start. They've been able to get stops on the defensive end, and the three-point shot has brought them roaring back into this game.
Second foul on Quincy Guerrier. He's got 2, and Jacob Young has 2.
I tell you, Roxy, the Ducks are really going to be tested here tonight with early foul trouble, this hostile environment, a hot shooting Aggies team right now. They're going to have to dig deep, change this momentum.
Tough fadeaway blocked by the freshman Nate Biddle, a McDonald's All-American for Oregon, who hasn't played all that much this year, but hasn't had the opportunities because of N'Faly Dante and Frank Kepnang in front of him. But with Dante out tonight, an opportunity for Biddle, and a foul against Utah State. Stephen Ashworth called for the reach-in.
Talked about the size of Oregon. They know when they get on the move and attack the rim, the Aggies will be on their heels. We'll see if they go back to that early success they had in the paint.
Been a roller coaster ride for Dana Altman's Oregon Ducks this year. It's Dana going for his 300th win tonight as the Oregon head coach. And also an impressive streak he's trying to keep going. Davion Harmon rains a three and ends the 11-0 Utah State run.
Boys, he had some big buckets this season, an electrifying scorer. You talk about next man up. You know, we saw him in a game earlier this season where he just lit it up from downtown.
Stephen Ashworth again. 4 threes for Ashworth.
This is why you don't give a guy a clean look in his own gym. Ashworth on some Steph Curry stuff right now. He's unconscious. Anything he gets, he's going to shoot.
Frank Kepnang left it short, and the rebound falls to Brandon Horvath. But Dana Altman, this is year 12 for him at Oregon, as a three is off from Brandon Horvath, the Ducks control. In each of its first 11 years in Eugene, Dana Altman has won at least 20 games. And he's sitting at 19 wins coming into tonight as Davion Harmon pulls the Ducks within 1.
You know, Dana Altman is simply a magician when you talk about his old school approach to coaching, how he gets the most out of his players.
Brandon Horvath.
But right now, he's going to have to get out the clipboard and teach a little perimeter defense because they're taking threes to the face early on. The Aggies on fire from outside.
Horvath, the stretch five, who was a 33% three-point shooter, the transfer from UMBC, who followed Ryan Odom West. Biddle from the corner, and the freshman Biddle with his first three-pointer of his college career.
You know, Dana Altman said earlier today, guys, hey, we're here, let's play. He wanted his guys to be loose and relaxed. Nothing more relaxed than your freshman 7-footer drilling a three from the corner.
Backdoor for Justin Bean, who lays it in. First points for the senior Bean.
He's been able to lay low in these opening minutes, but right there, a nice cut and a nice feed from a guy who you know is going to have a double-double no matter what.
Good pace to this one in Logan. Eric Williams, the deep two. And the rebound batted around, and Ashworth has it for the Aggies. Behind the back pass. Spreading out Oregon defensively. Justin Bean from deep. And the long rebound, there's Max Shulga for Utah State. That's a two. He was too close to the basket. That's Stephen Ashworth's problem, is Nate Biddle the rebound.
And you can see they're not going to come up on that ball screen, so you're going to have that mid-range jumper every time.
Davion Harmon missing a three, and Max Shulga saves it right to Sean Bairstow for USU. Travel on Brandon Horvath, and it goes back to Oregon. Back and forth we go, but Stephen Ashworth, Corey, off the bench giving life to Utah State.
Postseason play, big star.
I want to separate from the dad, and it's just an amazing story that you talk to Max, and he is so relieved every day he gets to talk to his family.
No question about it. I was just blown away by the strength and composure of that young man as he sat and talked with us about some of the most difficult things you could possibly imagine. And to come out here focused, ready to play, just an exceptional young man.
And his teammates have been there for him. This Utah State community has been fabulous in supporting him. As a three rattles out from C. Hamoda, the freshman from Bahrain. As Jacob Young back in the game with his two fouls. But also, through this tough situation that he is dealing with in his family, he's also become very friendly with Christy Frank, who's a standout volleyball player here at Utah State. This was recently the Utah State community supporting him, showing support for Ukraine and Max and standing with him. But Christy Frank, the volleyball player here, you may have been familiar with the story, was featured on SportsCenter, where her roommate is from Finland and didn't know her before. And her family, Christy Frank, is from Ukraine. They left Ukraine, went to her roommate's family's house in Finland, never met him before. They took them in, and it is just one of these amazing stories you're hearing about as people helping out one another. As Jacob Young was sitting for a bit, nails the three, and the Ducks have tied it.
That's an unbelievably heartwarming story. You talk about teammates and what you sacrifice for each other in the field of play, but opening up her home, her family's home, just an amazing story. Joseph Young, like you just said, back in the game. Dana Altman understanding that he's got two fouls, but wanting to get some offense going, and Young delivers right away.
Luke Warren in the game as well for Oregon, so Dana Altman having to go deeper into his bench tonight in the absence of two starters. Tied at 21, first round of the NIT, Utah State and Oregon. Our game's already featured a 10-0 Oregon run, a 13-0 Utah State run. We're tied at 21 with Corey Williams and our ESPN crew. Roxy Bernstein with you at the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum in Logan, Utah. Dana Altman and the Oregon Ducks, who are struggling toward the end of the year. They went through a great stretch mid-season. They won 11 out of 13. And after a rough start where Oregon was ranked as high as 12 early in the season, it took them a while to figure things out, but you thought they turned the corner, Corey, when they won 11 of 13.
You know, I understand that numbers count, but just the simple eyeball test tells you that this Oregon Ducks team is a tournament team. They stood tall against Arizona, won twice against UCLA, stood tall against USC, but you're right, Rox, at certain key moments in the season, they faltered. It's been an up and down season. They've had to deal with some adversity just like everybody in college basketball, but they're trying to put it together now, down a couple of men, and they're a team that can make a run here in the NIT. Super talented team, well coached.
Players like Nate Biddle showing Dana Altman what they can do with a block shot. Here comes a 2-on-1. Justin Bean hits the trailer. And the double pump lay-in from Z Hamoda.
A little transition from the Aggies. We thought it was the Ducks that were going to come in and go quick as they hoist up a quick three, but it's the Aggies in transition with a nice bucket.
Luke War missing the three. Spinning is Bean. Turnaround in the key. Offensive rebound, Brandon Horvath, the putback. And Utah State reclaims the lead.
Right now, the Ducks having a little issue with the defensive rebound. That's been a couple of offensive rebounds for the Aggies, where everybody's been standing flat-footed for Oregon, and they're making them pay.
Oregon has lost 6 of their last 8 heading into this first-round NIT matchup as Quincy Guerrier way off.
That was a bad shot. He was fishing for a foul and didn't get the call.
Rylan Jones darting to the basket. Kick out. Z Hamoda from the corner three.
Textbook basketball. Dana Altman wants to call a timeout. The Ducks failing to stop the penetration, failing to rotate to shooters, and he wants to talk about it.
7-0 Utah State run. 30-second timeout Oregon.
And for a whole lot less.
ESPN is your home for the women's NCAA tournament. First 4 tomorrow with Thursday. First and second round, Friday through Monday. Sweet 16, Elite 8, March 25th through 28th. The Final Four starts April 1st with a championship in primetime. Sunday night, April 3rd, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com. As Kelly Graves has the Oregon women dancing. Ryan Odom, after Utah State got down 10 too early, now up 5. It's the largest lead for Utah State. And they got off to a rough start where Oregon made their first 5 shots from the floor.
Yeah, Oregon was taking the ball to the rim, getting high percentage shots, and it was the Aggies who were struggling a little bit to get things cracking, but they found that 3-ball and everything has changed. And right now, if you're the Aggies, you just want more of the same. Good ball movement, be solid, no turnovers.
The referees are looking at this little sequence there where Max Shulga was pushed in the open floor by Isaac Johnson.
I'm not sure if they're going to come back with a flagrant one on this or not.
They're still looking at it to see if it warrants anything. Nothing was called on the floor when it transpired.
Well, you heard the crowd react as I believe it was Shulga almost went to the floor.
Isaac Johnson, who is from American Fork, Utah.
Right here, you're going to see transition. A little frustration. Max Shulga trying to get in the path of Johnson to slow him up, and Johnson seeing exactly what he was trying to do, got a little frustrated, said, hey, get out of my way. I'm trying to run down the court here. And he intentionally slows up and try to
Johnson
his
already
progress.
With a bucket in this game. His older brother Spencer, we'll see him tomorrow night, also in the first round of the NIT, just down the road at BYU as they host Long Beach State, the Big West regular season champions. That's a 2-7 matchup tomorrow at the Marriott Center. The highly recruited Isaac Johnson is from American Fork, Utah. His parents are here, his sister-in-law is here as well. But it's still under review by Mike Cyphers, Ryan Holmes, Klaus, and Drissett. As the Utah State season summary, their net ranking is 60. They played 13 quad 1 games this season. They only won 2 of them, Oklahoma and San Diego State. But at one point this season, Ken Palm, Corey, called them the unluckiest team in America.
Well, you schedule the games You play aggressive, you schedule aggressive, and you let the chips fall where they may. And right now, still trying to decide what they're going to call here.
So Mike Cypher's explaining the decision to the official scores, Summon, Ryan Odom, and Dana Altman. So they are going to call after review a flagrant 1 on Isaac Johnson, which will mean 2 shots and the basketball for Utah State. So a flagrant 1 against Johnson of Oregon. So Max Shulga, who was fouled,
Also for Oregon, number 11.
and the recipient of the flagrant 1.
Number 22.
So it'll be 2 shots for Shulga and the basketball for Utah State because of the flagrant 1.
And that's a difficult call to make, and I'll tell you why. The officials now are starting to call unnatural movement on offensive players. When guys are dribbling down the lane, they stop and try to draw that foul from the defender behind them. They're not calling that anymore. In fact, it's an offensive foul. In this situation, Shulga was slowing down intentionally in front of the offensive player, or I'm sorry, the defensive player, and he got a little frustrated. So definitely wrong to shove him in the back, but had he run him over, would they have called something then?
Shulga hits both, and it is a Utah State ball here, and now a 7-point lead as the Aggies have scored 9 straight. So the flagrant 1 for the 2-hand push in the back, Shulga. And with the flagrant 1, it's the Utah State ball.
Yeah, it's obviously not questioning the push in the back. That's wrong. But the overall problem still exists. What do you do when a player is deliberately in your path, slowing down?
Rylan Jones hits the rim twice, and Frank Kepnong lost it, hustling Davion Harmon for Oregon. Talking about the unluckiest team in America, Utah State. So many close losses this year for the Aggies. 10 of their 15 losses by single digits. 8 have come by 5 points or less. Quincy Guerrier missing a putback. And grabbing the loose ball, Stephen Ashworth for Utah State. Open, R.J. Idlerock. And he clanks that one and goes out of bounds to the Ducks with just over 5 minutes left in the half. As Oregon has missed their last 5 shots. And again, Utah State now in a 9-0 run. They've opened up their largest lead of the night.
Well, 2 things have been hurting Oregon. The offensive rebounds collected by the Aggies have cost them greatly. And then the fact that they have to get back to basics. They're a good one-on-one team. There you see the play in the paint. They can't convert.
And a foul on Rylan Jones for pushing Rivaldo Soares, tried to keep him away from the loose ball. It's the first on the Utah State point guard.
That was a good job by Soares, staying active after the miss, trying to get the rebound. You talk about a size advantage. Jones is going to have his hands full keeping him off the glass.
Rylan Jones used to facing Oregon after 2 years down the road in Salt Lake City, playing for the University of Utah. Sean Bairstow with his first points tonight. 11 in a row. Second double-digit to nothing run for Utah State tonight.
They are on their heels no more as you see the nifty move to the rack. Good defense right there by Jones.
Davion Harmon penetrates. Knocked away from Justin Bean, and Oregon gets it back. Harmon goes in, lays it in.
Boy, he's so tough. Didn't give up on the play, was able to poke it away and take it right back to the rim. They're going to need that toughness right now.
Ends the 11-0 run. 9 for Harmon to lead Oregon. Stephen Ashworth with 12 for the Aggies to lead everybody. Strip from Rylan Jones. Last touch by Jones. We're going the other way. It's an Oregon basketball. Utah State by 7 with Davion Harmon.
Talking about being aggressive, going to the rack. Both teams taking it to the rim. We got a great one here in Logan.
Look at the bracket for the NIT. Is Subin and Sean coming up at the half. VCU already advancing. Took care of Princeton out of the Ivy. And the winner of our matchup will play the winner of Texas A&M and Alcorn State. That game going on in College Station. Here, Utah State, 6 first-half threes, up 7 on Oregon. The Ducks playing without 2 starters tonight. No Will Richardson, no N'Faly Dante. Dante has the top field goal percentage in the Pac-12, and Richardson is the leader of this Oregon team. It's Davion Harmon now with 11 for Oregon.
Harmon smells blood in the water. He knows he can get to the rim. There's not a shot blocker out there for the Aggies. The Ducks having tons of success, but they got away from it. Harmon trying to get them back to it.
The Oklahoma transfers, the Sooners in action against Missouri State right before us here on ESPN. In the NIT, as Stephen Ashworth penetrates, and the flip up and in, Brandon Horvath.
Horvath doing a nice job. He learned his lesson early after one got sent into the crowd. He's getting up quick, high release, over the shot blocker.
Horvath, 3rd-team All-Mountain West this year. He's been in double figures in 14 straight. Coming into tonight, had a great run where he's 1st-team All-American East last year at UMBC, playing for Ryan Odom. As Horvath along with R.J. Idlerock following Ryan Odom West. And the rebound, Justin Bean for the Aggies.
Big rebound for Bean. They had the mismatch underneath.
Bairstow missed the layup. And the rebound grab by Frank Kepnong of Oregon. Davion Harmon launching. 3!
Next man up. Harmon having a magnificent first half for the Ducks. He comes in with the foul trouble, knowing he's going to have to shoulder some of the scoring. Doing an outstanding job right now for the Ducks.
He struggled in the Pac-12 tournament when Jacob Young flourished, both in the absence of Richardson. And now Harmon having a big game here tonight, here in this first-round NIT matchup with Utah State. Download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app to fill out your men's NCAA tournament brackets. You can fill out up to 25 before the game closes. Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, or 10 a.m. here in the mountains. Justin Bean rattles out off the inbound. You're one of the rare people that didn't have to adjust your clock over the weekend.
That good Arizona living. Everybody else changes. We stay the same.
You are friends out in Hawaii.
Yep.
Offensive foul on Brandon Horvath.
Big play right there. Stepping over, keeping your hands out of the way, and taking the hit. The crowd doesn't agree, but his feet are set. Lots of contact. The right call.
And it looked like he was out of the restricted circle. As the freshman Nate Biddle drawing the charge.
We talked about Dana Altman being a fundamental coach. You got freshmen taking charges when they want to block shots.
2 quick fouls now on Horvath, as Jacob Young will go to the line for Oregon.
His second, 6th team foul.
2 shots for Young, his older brother Joseph, former Pac-12 Player of the Year back in 2015, and dad Michael Young, part of Phi Slamma Jamma, played with Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. As Jacob Young spent his first 2 years at Texas, then transferred to Rutgers as the Scarlet Knights in the Big Dance. Brad transferred out west to Oregon. Tonight is his 154th for a college basketball game.
When you talk about some shoes to fill, his brother got a lot of buckets in the Oregon jersey, and he's done a heck of a job himself. He'll take a breather right now. As for Oregon, they've kind of withstood the run. They've made a run and kind of came back. I got the feeling this is going to go down to the wire. Both teams in rhythm right now.
Utah State leading by as many as 9. Down to 3. Now it's 6. Max Shulga, 44% three-point shooter.
And when a guy shoots it that well, you can't let him get comfortable. Shulga hits you with the 2 jab steps and then pulls up right in your face. You got to turn him into a driver.
Shulga's been in double figures in 2 of the last 3 for Utah State after just 4 of the first 28 games this year. And he gives Utah State a 6-point lead. Davion Harmon in the key. Tough step back by Harmon.
Boy, how good is he? Late in the possession, every time they need a good look, he delivers. And right there, most coaches would say that's a horrible shot, but he put arc on it, nothing but finesse.
16 for Davion Harmon. Utah State playing for the final shot of the half here.
1-4 flat. You're wondering if they're going to come up and bring a ball screen, try to create some downhill action. It looks like they're just going to play it straight one-on-one.
Stephen Ashworth, Justin Bean, open is Brandon Horvath. And that'll take us to halftime. Fun first half in Logan. Utah State 37, Oregon 33, 7 first half threes for Utah State. We're going back and forth.
No question about it. The shooters, the drivers, it's all happening here in Logan.
Coming up after the break, Zubin and Sean in studio. A good one out west. Welcome back to the NIT in Logan, Utah tonight. A packed house for this 4-5 matchup of the first round of the home team. Utah State, the 4-point lead at the break over the Oregon Ducks, along with former Arizona standout Corey Williams, Roxy Bernstein with you. A fun first half. It was a first half of runs. It was Oregon first after a sluggish Utah State start, but then they got going, hit threes.
That's exactly what happened. They took the best shots from Oregon early, but then they delivered their best shots from beyond the arc. Great ball movement led to the 3-ball falling left and right for the Aggies. This young man was completely on fire when you talk about Ashworth in transition, dialing it in, bringing the crowd to their feet, but not to be undone. The Ducks had an answer of their own. And Devon Harmon coming down, knocking down shots, answering the bell. We talked about that next man up mentality. Tough as nails. You see him in the one-on-one, the pull-ups, the fadeaways. He had the total package, giving the Ducks that much-needed boost off the bench.
First half numbers, as Davion Harmon for Oregon leading all scorers in the game with 16. And coming off the bench, Stephen Ashworth making 4 threes and igniting this Utah State offense. They made 7 first half threes, 24 bench points from the Aggies. And the other number that I love from Utah State, Corey, 12 assists on 14 made buckets.
And that's the key, sharing the ball, getting good, clean looks. That's how you shoot a high percentage.
And Utah State, 5th in the country in assists. And so that's carrying over here tonight against Oregon. And again, the Ducks, in case if you missed the first half, 2 starters not with Oregon because of non-COVID illnesses. No Will Richardson, no starting center in Fale Dante. And it rolls in for Jacob Young, and Oregon's within 2.
A very deliberate possession right there for the Ducks as each player tried to drive the lane. It was finally Young that was able to get all the way to the rim.
Having baseline, the pump, and a foul is called. That will send R.J. Idlerock to the line, the senior from London, England, who transferred with Brandon Horvath following Ryan Odom West from UMBC.
A situation like this, you got your shot blocker coming over the top. You want to hold your ground, and right there, miscommunication leads to the foul.
First on Rivaldo Soares. Idlerock 80% for the line. Scoreless so far tonight. And his first point of the night, as last year he led UMBC in scoring and assist, average over 14 a game. Averaging 8 a game this year. Now he's a senior, but has the option to come back next year with the free year for COVID if he wants to play next year. The only player for Utah State that is ineligible to come back, taking advantage of the extra year this year, is Brandon Horvath.
I know it's been a while, Rox, but am I eligible for a COVID year? Can I get some run?
There were no COVID issues when you were playing for Arizona. I can think of some other issues you may have. Frank Kepnong, count it, and 1 is the big man inside.
Wow, very rarely do you see that kind of agility and finesse, and he's laughing and smiling because he knows that's skill on display. They try the high-low, and you're going to see the double team. Jones needs help. Right now, he's trying to do all he can to get around, but right here, keeps it up high, takes the hit, and one-hands it off the glass. Very nifty move.
Despite coming off the bench, Kepnong, honorable mention, all Pac-12 defensive team, now with 7 points. Started some games early in the year and then made one start late. As Dana Altman was searching for answers with Will Richardson out of the lineup.
Well, he is a game changer when you talk about protecting the rim, changing shots.
And a foul off the ball, and it's inside the third on Brandon Horvath of Utah State.
That's a pretty big foul because it's early in the second half. Horvath's been doing a great job scoring, but he gets a little overzealous trying to post up. Right here you see the great defense trying to get around, and he hooks him with that offhand, and the officials all over it. But I like the aggression. You got the mismatch, you got to call for the ball.
Jacob Young across the key, flips it up and in, and Oregon takes their first lead of the second half.
Oregon back to basics, attacking the rim. Young with back-to-back penetrations, trying to score. Going for the high percentage shots.
Oregon led by as many as 8 early in this game. Brandon Horvath launching, and it goes out of bounds, and the corner belongs to Oregon. For the Ducks, 7-2 outscoring Utah State to start the second half. Dana Altman's team looking for win number 20. We mentioned earlier, Oregon in Dana Altman's tenure has won 20 or more in each of Dana's first 11 years as the head coach of Oregon, as it rattles out for Frank Kepnong. And also a milestone potentially for Dana Altman tonight, looking for his 300th victory as the Oregon head coach. Justin Bean, who has been off so far tonight. He's just 1 for 7 now from the floor. Rivaldo soars transition three.
And there you see the letter rip mentality of the Oregon Ducks. We talked to Dana Altman. He felt like guys needed to be relaxed. They want to play up tempo, and they deliver a quick three within a matter of seconds. And you're starting to see Oregon gain a little confidence. They're not going to shoot the three. They feel like they have the advantage in the one-on-ones.
10-2 Oregon to start the second half. Now 10-4 is Sean Bairstow with the bucket.
Nice move on the block, had the clear height advantage, and you know Young's not going to commit another foul, so you go ahead and take advantage of him.
Here's Kepnong, powering his way inside, tried to throw it down, got it back. 3 on the way, short from Jacob Young, and here comes Utah State.
Kepnong was a lot closer than he originally thought, tried to dunk it. Should have just went with the nice jump hook, probably would have got the 2.
R.J. Idlerock rattles out the 3. Quincy Guerrier, the rebound. The Ducks push it. Davion Harmon bursts down the lane. Harmon to the basket. The tip for Frank Kepnong.
And right now it's the Oregon Ducks applying the pressure. They're winning the one-on-one battle. They're beating their man, and they're creating on offense.
What does Utah State need to do here to get it going again?
Well, a made bucket has been the Aggies' best friend because it allows them to drop back and stop the transition. They've got to find a way to make free throws and get buckets, because when they miss, the Ducks are running.
John Bairstow fouled on his drive in. Second on Davion Harmon.
Right there all the way to the rim, the feathery touch. They've got a little bit of a mismatch in the paint. Just get the ball to the rim. Kepnong will do the rest.
Bairstow 0 for 2 from the line tonight. 68% on the year. And one more for Sean Bairstow. As mentioned, his brother Cam had played in New Mexico, now pro in Australia. It was all Mountain West for the Lobos. His sister Stephanie played here about 7-8 years ago. Utah State. Had a late start to the year. Did Bairstow with a wrist injury. Missed the first 6 games of the year, but kept alive here by Utah State. And an errant pass from Max Shulga, and it goes out of bounds, and it's an Oregon ball in the front court as a Utah State turnover. That's 9 giveaways for the Aggies tonight. Oregon, the first Power 5 team to come to Logan since the 2013-2014 season, when Utah State beat Mississippi State right here. Rainbow 3 short from Quincy Guerrier. Guerrier had a great Pac-12 tournament. Averaged 22.5 points, made 7 threes in their 2 games at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And another over and back call against Utah State.
Right now, just poor execution by the Aggies, but it's the Ducks in transition, making a run offensively. We talked about how quick they are. The Ducks love to let it fly, and they're having success here in the second half.
NCAA Men's Basketball Championship First Four continues tomorrow on True TV with coverage beginning at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. For more information on tournament game times and listings, go to NCAA.com, the home for all 90 NCAA championships. Justin Bean, who's struggling tonight, one of the top players in the Mountain West, just 1 for 7 from the floor. And Oregon's done a good job of frustrating him.
No question about it. He hasn't had easy looks. They've kept him off the glass in terms of offensive rebounds. He's a player that knows when the moment is big, he has to be there.
These two teams were in the NCAA tournament last year. Oregon making the Sweet 16, losing to USC. Nate Biddle, who made his first career 3 in the first half, kept alive on the offensive end, and the roll for Rivaldo Swords.
The size of Oregon starting to affect the Aggies. Offensive rebounds, tap-ins around the bucket.
Utah State last year lost in the first round to Texas Tech. And Craig Smith, who was the coach here at Utah State, took the job down the road at the University of Utah, and enter Ryan Odom as the head coach here at Utah State. Jacob Young to Quincy Guerrier, and a 3 for Guerrier, his first points of the night, and Oregon has matched their largest lead.
A 5-second possession by the Ducks. It all started with the great block by Biddle to get out in transition, and they've got the license and permission to shoot the quick 3 from Coach Dana Altman.
Stephen Ashworth gave the Aggies a spark in the first half. They're going to need somebody to pick it up here. Justin Bean trying to get it going, and Davion Harmon clears it for the Ducks. Just 5 points since halftime for Utah State. Oregon has outscored Utah State 17-5 since the break.
Right now the Ducks just probing on offense, trying to get to the rim, and a big-time rejection.
Fast break, running the floor, the lay-in from Brandon Horvath.
Aggies answer with some tempo of their own. The block shot, the transition bucket, the crowd trying to will them back into some type of rhythm.
And a big crowd. They were chomping at the bit to get into the building an hour before tip-off as Jacob Young, a quick dart to the basket.
Boy, does he get downhill. You talk about a guy who, whether it's a ball screen or out of the one-on-one, when he turns the corner, you have serious problems.
As soon as they opened the doors, the students came rushing in to get the seats. About 3,000 students inside the Spectrum here tonight. The winner of our game will play the Texas A&M Alcorn State winner in round 2. As Texas A&M, the #1 seed in this bracket. And the rebound, Justin Bean rather. Stephen Ashworth feeds a cutting Max Shulga, lost it going up.
You see Dana Altman orchestrating the offense here for the Ducks in the second half, calling the plays, and the number he wants to call is Young.
Here comes Max Shulga pushing. In transition, Justin Bean fouled. And it's on Nate Biddle. maybe this will get Justin Bean going. Just going to the line, Corey, and seeing the ball go through if he can knock these free throws down.
100% right, Roxy. That's what it's all about. Getting to the line, getting some type of rhythm, little transition. Don't be cute. Take it straight to the rack. Get your free throws. Put some points on the board, and then you guys can focus on getting back on defenses. The Ducks have found a little bit of a rhythm here in the opening minutes.
Being fourth in the Mountain West in foul shooting, 80%. Second team all Mountain West on the all defensive team. As Justin Bean is 17th in Utah State history in scoring. And he's got over 1,000 career rebounds. He's second in Utah State history in rebounding. And tonight, his 97th consecutive start. Right, he made them both. And the Oregon lead is 6. Jacob Young, crossover, and a quick burst by Young.
That's about Jacob Young.
And you can see with the Oregon Ducks, it's just the same soup, just reheated. Dribble handoff, ball screen. They turn the corner, get it to the rim. Aggies have to find some way to slow down those ball screens.
Max Shilga to the basket. Frank Kepnong comes over to knock it away. Brandon Horvath stepping into a 3, and there's Kepnong elevating for the rebound.
Talked about his impact early. You saw the big block in the first half, and right there, the essence of a rim protector.
54-46 Ducks. Quincy Courier left it short. Justin Bean pushes to the basket. Bean, and he's fouled and will go to the line. He went down hard. The foul from Frank Kepnong from behind. Is Utah State trying to climb back? Does Oregon a great start to the second half?
No question about it. Young downhill, one-on-one, and the finish in the lane is the Ducks trying to pull away here in the second half.
Dealing with foul trouble in the first half. Jacob Young has it going here in the second for the Ducks.
It is seek and destroy for Jacob Young, trying to get past the defender and get to the rim. He's had all kinds of success here in the second half. You can tell when a guy's got it going, beating his man, challenging the other defenders. It looks like the same play over and over, but it's the same result over and over. Jacob Young to the rack, unstoppable here in the second half.
So Oregon has outscored Utah State 21-9 since the break. An 8-point lead, matching their largest of the night. And Oregon holding Utah State to just 2 of 10 from the floor in the second half. And there are the numbers on Jacob Young tonight. And both he and Davion Harmon have stepped up in the absence of Will Richardson. And Will Richardson missing his 4th consecutive game.
Yeah, and one thing for Oregon that's been good for them is they haven't shied away from tempo. They're not afraid of the quick 3, the quick layup, the quick shot attempt. A lot of times when teams play on the road, they tend to slow down and be a little more conservative, but not these Oregon Ducks. They've got the green light to go ahead and shoot quick and apply that pressure.
Justin Bean now 4 for 4 from the line. And Utah State closes to within 6, 11 minutes to go. Jacob Young again, the reverse for Young, and right now Utah State does not have an answer for Jacob Young.
If you crowd him, he blows by you. If you play off him, he shoots the 3 in your face. Right now, the Aggies have to try to make him uncomfortable, either double team the ball screens or something, because Jacob Young is having his way with their entire team.
Tie up, Utah State ball is Max Shilga locked up with Luke Ward for the loose ball. And you got Utah State ball.
Rox, when you got a guy out front dribbling the ball this much, all 4 defenders need to be focused on him. Right there, he beats one guy and gets a layup. They were playing much better team defense early in the first half. Guys rotating over, taking charges. Right now, guys are standing around watching the Jacob Young show.
5 to shoot. Off balance, it falls off. Bean trying to follow, and the rebound, Quincy Guerrier for Oregon.
Great crash by Bean. He did that early in the first half. Going to the rim, trying to get something, get a second possession.
No field goals the last 4.5 minutes for Utah State, just 1 for their last 10. Open is Eric Williams Jr., and Oregon has their largest lead in the first points tonight for Williams.
And Williams, such a special player. We've seen him shoot the ball well. He's great in the open court, and he finally gets a clean look.
RJ Alvarado now in for Utah State. Also, Sean Bairstow.
Right now, it's Oregon taking a ball movement page from the Aggies playbook, swinging it around. The bench loves it. It's that rhythm we talked about, the tempo they wanted to play with. Second half's been night and day in terms of offense for the Ducks.
There was a shot clock issue. That's why we had the stoppage. And now they've got it corrected, but it's Oregon by 11. Utah State, they have to find a way to put the ball in the basket court.
Yeah, they really do. And in the first half, that ball was really zipping around. There was ball movement. Guys were passing up good shots for great shots. They got to get back to that. Let the ball do the work. They've got the shooters. Too much dribbling, too much one-on-one. They got to get back to that good ball movement.
Is Oregon doing anything different defensively that you notice?
Not so much. I mean, the Ducks are still kind of playing them great one-on-one. They're doing a little bit better job of not getting beat and letting those rotations begin. But I think the Aggies have kind of started to rely on the one-on-one.
Jacob Young missing the pull-up, and a foul going for the rebound, and will stay at this end. And it's on Utah State, and they're calling it on R.J. Idlerock.
Boy, and the rich just get richer right there. Kepnang, the biggest guy on the floor, going up for the rebound. A lot of people wanted the over-the-back call, but he was in the right place at the right time.
Even though Kepnang has been coming off the bench most of the year, highly decorated player coming into Oregon. Quincy Guerrier, the Syracuse transfer, lays it in. The Ducks are up 13.
Beautiful pass right there.
7 straight for Oregon, and a real danger zone for the Aggies.
No question about it. Plenty of time left, but the Aggies just not in sync offensively.
The reverse on the baseline by Sean Bairstow.
That's what they need, and here on the defensive end, Utah State needs to begin to put together some stops to change this momentum, and it starts with how they defend Jacob Young out front.
Luke Ward lines it up, and the follow slam, Eric Williams Jr.
Number 50, Eric Williams.
That should be SC top 10 material for later on this evening. That young man is so special. We talked about him in the open court. He's got bounce. He can shoot the three. And right there, he shows you got to put a body on somebody. The Ducks trying it from the outside, but finishing on the inside.
.803 to go in Logan, Utah. And strong second half from the Oregon Ducks on both ends of the floor, and they're up 13.
They found a way to disrupt that tempo and ball movement that Utah State was having so much success with. And on the offensive end, they've just really decided to go to the rack one-on-one. Jacob Young has been the difference maker here in the second half.
Utah State has gone ice cold here in the second half. Eric Williams Jr. beating Rivaldo Soares, who glides in.
High percentage shots from the Ducks. They've made a couple of threes, but between the layups and the dunks, they've really been able to get into the paint.
R.J. Idlerock lines it up. A long rebound tipped out to Eric Williams. 3 Ducks in double figures. Harmon with 16. Davion Harmon, all of his damage in the first half. Jacob Young has got it going here in the second half with 14. Rivaldo Soares is tied a career high with 11.
And with Jacob Young getting a rest here to probably finish down the stretch, Harmon will have to create some offense for the Ducks.
Second effort gets the rebound for Justin Bean. Ryland Jones. Bairstow attacks, and a foul on Frank Kepnong, his second. Couple of free throws coming up for Utah State, but a 15-point Oregon lead.
Well, they say sharing is caring, and that's what the Ducks are doing right here. High flying, come fly with me. Oregon Ducks up big here in Logan.
Fellas?
Sean, I knew Dennis Gates was the coach at Cleveland State, the former Cal Bear. Texas A&M, Alcorn State winner against our winner in round 2, and if A&M wins, they will be the home team, being the #1 seed. And a strong second half from the Oregon Ducks here on the road with the 4 seed Utah State Aggies struggling since halftime.
And if you're Oregon, this is exactly the kind of game you wanted to play. They came out, withstood the barrage of threes, the crowd, the momentum, but they stayed loose. They didn't panic. They kept shooting. They kept playing fast, up-tempo ball in transition. They find themselves in a pretty good spot. 14 points, 6.5 remaining. The question, can Utah disrupt the guard play of Harmon and Young out front for the Ducks?
Second foul on Utah State's Ryland Jones. Dad Chris, a number of years, was on the staff at Utah with Larry Kraskowiak, and also Chris, a former Utah State assistant, a high school coach, again here in the state of Utah. Got to know Chris pretty well in his days working for Larry down the road.
Now we're seeing a little bit of zone. They're going to try to invite Oregon to the outside shot. I hope they miss, but then it's about collecting the rebound.
5 on the timer. Eric Williams Jr. across the lane. Somehow got it up and in and off the window.
And now you see Williams starting to come alive. He had the dunk, he had the 3, and right there, the beautiful take with the left off the glass.
Everything going right for Oregon since halftime.
You know, Rox, Oregon came into this game down a man.
Now 2 men. It's Justin Bean an and one opportunity.
In the right place at the right time. The shot goes up. You don't stand and watch. Get in there. You never know what's going to happen. It's a guy who lives in the lane. Hasn't gotten a lot going tonight, but right there you see got a chance to get the 3-point play. Cut into this lead.
Third foul on Quincy Guerrier is Bean perfect, 5 for 5 at the line. 67-54 Ducks. Utah State led by as many as 9 in the first half of this one.
And Rox, this is always difficult when your back is against the wall and you got to go to a defense that you're probably not your primary defense that you're not good at. You see the result.
Quincy Guerrier a chance for 4 as he was fouled.
The Aggies are a man-to-man team. They've been getting beat off the dribble, so they go to their zone, but the Ducks have the answer. Get the ball to the high post, swing it out to the wing, and there you see the hoop and the harm.
64% foul shooter Guerrier. And after a quiet first half, Guerrier with all 9 since the break.
Really seeing the diversity of that offense for Oregon. Just like you said, they're missing 2 key guys that score and impact the game. It's next man up, and they're able to continue to score.
Pull-up jumper, Sean Bairstow for Utah State.
Bairstow's got to take that. He's got the quickness advantage right there in that one-on-one. Use his speed to create a shot.
And Utah State gets stops.
They've got no choice. Right now they're in a zone, but they got to communicate, and it all starts with the defense on the ball. Don't get broken down off the dribble, and then you've got a chance to get a rebound or a stop. But as long as the guards are having success turning the corner, it's going to be a problem.
Davion Harmon beats the shot clock and banks it in, and Brandon Horvath had a look like, you got to be kidding me.
It's been that kind of night for Harmon. He's made all types of shots, and right there just taking what the defense was giving him and got lucky.
Hustle from Justin Bean. First points, by the way, the second half for Davion Harmon. Quincy Courier lost the ball going up. He was by himself for a dunk.
And that will be SC not top 10 this evening.
And the three off the mark from Stephen Ashworth. Frank Kepnon, and he double dribble.
Double dribble.
Dana Altman going to his bench after a couple of blunders, but right here, you're going to see sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Off the glass high as Harmon continues to score.
Number 32, Nate Biddle.
He's got to smile to himself because he didn't call glass on that one.
He replaces Quincy Courier.
4:07 to go. Does Utah State have a burst in to get back into it? And a foul, it's on Davion Harmon as Justin Bean moving in. That's the third on Harmon.
That was on number 5.
17th foul, a 1-and-1 on the other side for Utah State. Final 4 minutes in first round action.
Just a reminder, coming up over on ESPN2, St. Bonaventure started the year in the poll. Now they're in Boulder trying to salvage their season in the NIT. That's on ESPN2. Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt coming up after you guys are done.
It's been all Oregon since halftime. The Ducks outscoring Utah State 40-19. Oregon holding the Aggies to 23% shooting. Ducks 57% from the floor in the second half. They are cruising here, and along with Corey Williams and our ESPN crew, Roxy Bernstein with you. And we were at shoot-around earlier today, Corey. And Dana Altman came up to us. We're talking, told us that there was going to be no Will Richardson again, and Fale Dante also did not make the trip, as they're both out with non-COVID illnesses. And so you and I were going, okay, what are we going to get from Oregon? Well, Dana Altman felt pretty good about his guys and just the energy around his team. He felt there was a spark, and they were, look, the NIT half the battle is wanting to play. Absolutely. And he felt his team wanted to play tonight.
No question about it. They wanted to play, and when you're down men, that's added responsibility. You're going to call on some guys who may have been itching to play all season, and now it's their time to shine. There's going to be minutes available, opportunities available like that, the missed lob. But the Oregon bench has definitely been productive, and they've shown that fight that coaches want to see out of their teams in the postseason.
Chance for a milestone for Dana Altman, looking for his 300th win as the Oregon head coach tonight. And also securing his 12th consecutive 20-win season as the Oregon coach in year number 12 as the weak side rebound. Nate Biddle for Oregon.
Credit the Oregon defense as well in the second half. Guys weren't getting beat in the one-on-one. They were collecting the defensive rebound, and that's really made this game a lot different here in the second half. When you control the glass, you don't give second opportunities, you put yourself in a great opportunity to win.
3 minutes to go. Utah State all-time in the NIT here at home. They're 0-4. And their last NIT win is 1960. You have to go back to the Eisenhower administration as the fumble from Sean Bairstow. That was the last time Utah State won an NIT game. Now, granted, they would have been in the postseason each of the last 4 years. 2 NCAA tournament appearances. They would have gone in 2020 as they were the Mountain West Conference champs.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that's been quite a stretch for this storied program. And being here, always looking forward to coming into this arena, one of the best atmospheres in all of college basketball, a full house in the middle of the week for a great game on ESPN.
And Ryan Odom, no stranger to the postseason. Of course, we highlighted his 2018 win as the head coach of UMBC over Virginia, the first 16 ever to beat a 1 in the NCAA tournament. But growing up the son of a coach, as Justin Bean, it just has not been his night. It rattles out Quincy Courier, the rebound. His dad, Dave Odom, former coach at Wake Forest, 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, also the Coach of the Year in the SEC out South Carolina, as Eric Williams finishes around the rim. But Dave Odom won this tournament 3 times as a head coach. And a 3 for Stephen Ashworth. His 5th 3 of the 9. Timeout, Utah State. 30-second timeout for the Aggies. Coming up after we're done in Logan Sports Center. First 4 top moments and reactions. The tourney tips off. The latest in the NFL free agency and signings. Champ Week edition of In the Stands and much more coming up on Sports Center. Not sure if you heard, but Tom Brady's coming back.
I do recall hearing some rumblings about 12 back in the game. Tampa Bay making the moves they need to make to re-sign key players. That's stuff you want to know. If TB12's coming back, it changes free agency.
Speaking of football, this is the football press break from Oregon. And Davion Harmon forced to take a timeout, trapped in the backcourt in the corner. So a 30-second timeout for Oregon, up 14, a minute 59 to go. And not sure if you saw that, but all 5 guys were spread out across the baseline, and they were running pass patterns.
All due respect to Dana Altman and the Oregon Ducks staff, I was not impressed. I was confused. I didn't know what that was.
You mean new football coach Dan Lanning is not going to put that into his playbook?
I don't know if they got that from Dan, but they need to leave that alone. Try something more conventional. Didn't really work. They ended up having to call a timeout, but you're right. At this point, the Aggies have to apply some pressure. Maybe should have gone to this 4 or 5 minutes ago.
Minute 59 to go, and there you see with the brace on his back. That's Brock Miller, the senior from Sandy, Utah, who's been dealing with back issues the majority of this season. And just a great Utah State player over the years, 5th in Utah State history in scoring. 118 career games. He started 105, but right now his body's just not cooperating with him. And not available, doesn't appear, for Ryan Odom tonight. Turned 25 a couple of weeks ago, but the big note for Brock Miller, his son Boyd was born just a couple of weeks ago on March 2nd.
Oh, that's great.
And he's a very proud dad. Already was like FaceTiming with Justin Bean when the team was on the road trip, and Brock was back here in Utah, saying that golf was going to be the future of Boyd Miller. There is Brock Miller. And it's a shame that he can't play. And look, he's got the option to come back next year. You wonder if he will. Just not sure if the body can hold up, as his back has really been an issue for him this season.
Yeah, you're talking about one of the pure shooters and scorers for the Aggies.
They clearly have missed him. As a foul going for the loose ball. Number 4 on Quincy Curry.
Number 14, his 4th,
8-team foul. Rylan Jones a 1-and-1. He's a 92% free throw shooter. 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Utah, and a Mr. Basketball.
Jones shooting 1-and-1.
The offensive rebound, Brandon Horvath lost it, and Young is grabbed by Jones, who's fouled out.
That was on Rylan Jones. His 5th now.
A rough night for Rylan Jones here in the first round of the NIT.
8-team foul.
But I like his effort.
Oregon at the line.
Yeah, I like his effort. I like what he had to do. He got switched on to some bigs a couple of times. He fought. He was able to get in defensive position. He made some great assists when they made that run. Definitely taking advantage of the opportunity tonight. And just Oregon a little too much in terms of athleticism, and then they got the shooting going, and it was lights out.
And let's face it, Utah State, 48% shooting team on the season coming in. Very good offensive club, has just been out of sorts here in the second half.
Yeah, the first half, the ball was zipping around all over the place. They were getting wide open looks. But credit Oregon for playing solid defense and contesting jump shots for the entire second half. And, you know, coaches preach that. When you get a hand up, that field goal percentage always comes down, no matter who you play.
Run in missed by Young. And Bairstow drops it off, and Horvath rams it home. And a foul with a minute 26 remaining, putting Jacob Young back at the free throw line. Second on Stephen Ashworth.
Second, 9th team foul.
Minute 26 to go, 12-point game. Team foul number 9, so still a 1-and-1, and Young is 1 for 3 from the stripe tonight. Oregon's got to knock down some free throws.
Please do not throw things on the court.
Their first NIT appearance since 2018.
3
times they've reached the Final Four of the NIT, and the last time they did it was 2004.
This is an Oregon team, Rox, we've seen at full strength in the Pac-12 give Arizona everything they could ask for. They won at Pauley Pavilion, swept the Bruins, in fact, who are one of the nation's best teams, and then went down to the buzzer at home against USC, another nationally ranked team. This Oregon team is sensational. They just haven't put it together in certain key moments, but tonight they gave everybody a glimpse of who they really can be.
Plus winning at USC.
Yep, the win at USC. This is an Oregon team that has been so Jekyll and Hyde, and the coaching staff have talked about it, and the players know they've got the talent. Right now they're playing fast and loose because they've got nothing to lose here in the NIT. It's win or go home.
Dropped in by Brandon Horvath. 12-point game. That'll put Davion Harmon at the line. It's on Max Shulga, his first.
Brandon Horvath. Correction. Fouls on Max Shulga. At the free throw line. Davion Harmon.
Double bonus now for Oregon. Davion Harmon. 2 shots. And Harmon, who tested the NBA waters after entering the transfer portal. Made a tentative transfer, still wanted to test the waters. And then followed Chris Crutchfield, the former Oklahoma assistant, to Oregon. Found a place to play for the Ducks. 1 out of 2 for Harmon. There's a foul, and Utah State will get to the line.
That was number 13,
Quincy Guerrier is fouled out. Jones is fouled out for Utah State. Now Quincy Guerrier is done for the night for Oregon. With 61 seconds to play, and Oregon leading it by 13. Winner of Texas A&M and Alcorn State awaits the winner in round 2. If A&M wins, they'll host our winner. If Alcorn State wins, our winner will host Alcorn State.
Stephen Ashworth.
19 fouls, so 1-and-1
1-and-1
for Stephen Ashworth, 86%. 16 off the bench for Ashworth tonight. He originally signed at Utah State back in 2017 under Tim Durian. And then went on his LDS mission, served in Indianapolis, came back, played for Craig Smith, and now continuing at Utah State under Ryan Odom.
He's a real special player. You saw the way he was able to connect, make plays.
Luke Ward, and he rams it in for Oregon. Back the other way, it's tipped out of bounds. Belongs to Utah State.
Now in for Utah State.
52.7, and here comes Brock Miller. Crowd loves to see Brock Miller take the floor here, and all likelihood the final 52.7 of his college career.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what a great fan base. They run a play for him, and he drills it.
And a foul will put Rivaldo Soares at the line for the Ducks.
Roxy, this is what college basketball is all about. You run a play for your legendary scorer. He comes in and drills it. Nothing but net. The crowd goes nuts as if this was still the first half. What an excellent fan base, and you can tell how much they appreciate his contributions to this program over the years.
964 career points for Brock Miller. As Rivaldo Soares hits the first. Career high 12 points for Soares. JC transfer from Boston. Great crowd, and Oregon just zapped the life out of them here in the second half.
They really did. They were more physical. They got putbacks and layups. And when teams are living at the rim, it's hard to stay with them.
Justin Bean. Luke Ward got a piece of it. A foul taken by Justin Bean. And Oregon back to the free throw line. And Ryan Odom taking this opportunity to get some guys in off the bench here with 37.2 to go, and Utah State down 13.
At the free throw line, Jacob Young.
2 shots for Young. He's had a big second half for Dana Altman and the Ducks.
No, he really has. He kept that momentum from building. You know, we thought we would see an upset of sorts brewing the way that the Aggies came storming back, but it was his layups, his scoring that kept him at bay.
First appearance for Norbert Dellison, a sophomore from the Netherlands. Shimon Zapala in, a sophomore from Poland. And also Z Hamoda taking the floor, and some hugs, and the final time. Brandon Horvath, Brock Miller, and Justin Bean maybe in a Utah State uniform.
Class move right there, letting your players go out to the applause and the appreciation of the crowd. You see how much it means to these young men and the staff.
And the emotions also from Utah State, sensing the end of the season and some terrific careers. College basketball ranks for some Utah State players. And a tip for the weak side, Dellison can't get it, and a foul that will put Shimon Zapala at the line for Utah State. And the foul is on Eric Williams Jr.
His first.
Shimon Zapala, sophomore from Poland, 6'11".
Shooting 2.
2 shots for him, so Oregon will move on into round 2. And if Texas A&M wins their matchup in College Station, the Ducks will head down to College Station, Texas. Get a Pac-12 versus SEC matchup in round 2. Minor Sports Center coming up next. 25 seconds from now is Zapala missed both with all those sores, had it tipped out of bounds off of Oregon.
Utah State basketball.
Stay at this end and a Utah State ball.
Aggies will get a chance to set one of their inbounds plays to try to get a 3.
Here's Stephen Ashworth launching. And a 3 for Ashworth, who has made 6 threes, 20 points for Stephen Ashworth tonight.
And for Ashworth, it's just a question of whether he was open or not, because he's been pretty much perfect from beyond the arc when wide open. But it's the Ducks who are going to leave here with a W. A well-deserved, hard-fought win for Oregon here in Logan against this Aggies team that wasn't just going to roll over.
Minus 2 starters tonight, Oregon blitzes Utah State in the second half, puts up 50 points and runs away from Utah State. 300th win as the Oregon head coach for Dana Altman, as now Altman has won 20 or more in each of his 12 seasons as the Oregon head coach. They advance. They'll await the winner of A&M and Alcorn State, led by 19 from Davion Harmon and 17 from Jacob Young. Oregon advances. For my partner Corey Williams and our ESPN crew, Roxy Bernstein saying so long from Logan. We take you to Sports Center.